Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. It is almost Christmas. Hopefully by the time I upload this video it is not Christmas just yet, but I have spent the past week binging on a bunch of Christmas romances, holiday, winter romances. I ended up finishing 8 books. I DNF'd one, but it was a pretty successful week and it has definitely gotten me even more into the holiday mood. Most of these were holiday novellas though, which is why I could read so many of them, but I just wanted to share with you all the holiday books that I read. If you're still in the mood for reading some cute Christmas romances, definitely check these ones out. The first book that kicked off my holiday romance reading was actually Fire Night by Penelope Douglas. Going into this one, I honestly did not know it was gonna be like a holiday themed kind of novella. It is book 4.5 in the Devil's Night series, so this one you can't really read it until you've already read all 4 books in the series, but I'm a huge Penelope Douglas fan. I will read anything and everything from her. I was lucky enough to get an early copy of this and I had so much fun being back in the Devil's Night world with Michael, Kai, Damon, and Will. This novella is told in all 4 of the guys' point of views, plus a bonus point of view for the epilogue. But this one is a holiday novella, winter novella, because Fire Night is a holiday celebrating the Yuletide, the winter solstice. It's a new holiday that all 4 of our couples have started celebrating ever since they started their families. So it's like another tradition in addition to Devil's Night. We're back in Thunder Bay. It's all snowy and wintry. It's a fairly long novella. I don't really think Penelope Douglas can ever write anything short, which I love her for, but it's not Devil's Night without some action and suspense, which there is a little bit of towards the end of this novella. So I gave Fire Night 4 stars. I just loved being back with all these characters, seeing how they are grown up as parents, seeing all their kids. There are so many kids, and the end does leave you wanting more, especially from that epilogue, which is told in a certain character's point of view. I don't know if I'd want an entire whole series about the second generation, the kids. There are certain characters that I would love stories for, like Madden, Athos, and Octavia. Madden is Kai and Banks' son, Athos is Michael and Rika's daughter, and Octavia is Damon and Winter's daughter. So those 3 I would love stories for just because they're so intriguing to me. But I'm just so happy Penelope Douglas gave us this novella, and I cannot wait to see what she has in store for us next. Another longish Christmas holiday novella that I read, which is also part of a series that I love, is Forever Wild by K.A. Tucker. This is part of the Simple Wild series, book 2.5, so it's set after Wild at Heart. I love the Simple Wild. It's one of my favorite books. I also enjoyed the sequel Wild at Heart, but I loved this novella. I gave Forever Wild 5 stars. I just love this novella. I loved this ending to Calla and Jonah's story. I do believe this is the actual ending for their story, though we will be getting more books set in Alaska, but just about different characters, a different couple. But in this novella, it is Christmas in Alaska. Jonah's family and Calla's family are all flying up to their Alaskan home to celebrate Christmas, and Jonah and Calla are still engaged. We get to see how happy and in love Jonah and Calla are, how wonderful a couple they've become after all that they went through. They are so cute and adorable in this novella, but I was just so happy seeing how happy they were together. There's some family drama going on. Calla and Jonah are trying to decide whether they should get married immediately or not. It was all just a perfect conclusion to their story. It's a very bittersweet ending. I mean, I loved it, but I also am super sad that this is the end for Calla and Jonah, but we will get to see them some more in later books because K.A. Tucker is writing some more books set in Alaska about some side characters we were introduced to in the series, and I'm so happy about that. I also read some other novellas, some shorter novellas. This one is The Earl of Christmas Past by Kerrigan Byrne. This one is actually part of the Good Girl series, but I haven't read it yet, so I didn't really see a connection to anything, and it read fine as a standalone. This one I'm giving it 3.5 stars. It's very close to a 4-star read, but I just wanted a little bit more from it. It is a historical romance with a paranormal twist because one of our main characters, the hero, is a ghost. I read a couple ghost romances in the past and loved them, so I was so excited to see Kerrigan Byrne writing one. Vanessa is our heroine. She's pretty much been exiled by her family, and currently she's been traveling through the Scottish Highlands, but then a blizzard shows up. She gets stuck at an old inn, and that's where she meets our ghost hero, Jonathan. Jonathan is actually British like Vanessa. He's not Scottish, unfortunately, but he did die during the Battle of Culloden, which I only know because of Outlander. He was an earl, and he does have a descendant that Vanessa actually met at one time, and the two of them looked very, very similar. You can kind of see how this ghost romance will play out pretty much from the beginning of the book, but I just really enjoyed Vanessa and Jonathan. Their romance is very quick, lots of chemistry going on between them. Jonathan luckily can take on a more physical form because of the day that Vanessa arrives, so they can touch each other, and they do. I really like this novella. I liked how Jonathan and Vanessa met and fell in love, but I kind of wanted a little bit more towards the end. This miracle happens that you do expect, but I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more to it. Things wrapped up a little bit too quickly, neatly for me, but I mean, it is a novella, so you can't really expect that much. Still, it was a good novella, really great for Christmas, lots of winter vibes, and if you love Kerrigan Byrne, definitely read this one. The next novella that I read was A Touch of Sugar by Christina C. Jones. This is actually the third novella in a series. I haven't read the other two, but I knew this one was the Christmas novella one. I like this one. I gave it 3 stars. It's more like the beginnings of a romance than an actual romance, but it was a sweet novella. We do have the whole stuck in a cabin together during a snowstorm trope. True, the heroine is feeling the Christmas blues because her boyfriend, her late boyfriend, actually passed away during Christmas. This year she decides to drive out to the forest and chop down her own tree for Christmas. She's always wanted a real life tree, and that's what she's gonna get. Unfortunately, it's not that easy to chop down her own tree, and she ends up finding a tree that's on land that belongs to our hero Xavier. They actually know each other already. He ends up saving her, taking her back to his cabin because a snowstorm is coming in. The two of them have always kind of had their eye on each other, but nothing ever really was explored because they were with other people, but now they're stuck together in this cabin. They need to stick together in bed for warmth. It's a good novella that sets up their romance but doesn't really explore the actual romance. It's a quick short novella. We have characters who are really fun, have great chemistry together. Zabe does act hot and cold a bit too much, but still it was a good read. I really enjoyed Prue and Zabe together. Next up, I read The Holiday Party by Whitney G. This one was another 3.5 star read for me. It was fun. It was pretty much what I expected from a holiday romance from Whitney G. I was actually in the middle of reading my holiday TBR when this one dropped, and I was so excited. But if you couldn't tell from this title, it is an office romance. It's a boss-employee romance. We have a jerk hero who is the CEO of the company, and a heroine who likes to make fun of the boss along with her coworkers and is so tired of him. Garrett and Savannah have been circling each other for years. There's always been some good tension between them. Anytime they're together, they always end up pushing each other's buttons. Every year for Christmas, the company has this Secret Santa tradition, and this year Savannah gets Garrett, the big boss. She accidentally gives him the vibrator that her sister gifted him, and that's when things start to come together for their romance. This one was quick and short again. There's not much to it. It is still very entertaining. If you like characters with lots of banter, you'll enjoy this one. I do wish we get a little bit more time exploring these two and their story, but if you have read Whitney G's other novellas and you do know what to expect, it was still fun, and it definitely hit the spot for a short and steamy Christmas novella. The last novella that I read was Ho 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 by rilzy Adams. I have been wanting to read rilzy Adams for a while. I know Syl from the book Voyagers loves her, so I finally found the perfect excuse to read her with this Christmas short. I give this one 4 stars. It is fairly similar to the other novellas that I read where things are, you know, really short and fast, but I ended up liking this one just a little bit more than the other ones. The writing was great, and I really like the unique setup to the story. Mila, the heroine, is newly divorced one Christmas. She ends up telling her sob story to the bartender at the bar that she ends up at, to JB, how her ex-husband was a lying cheat. JB ends up encouraging her to have some fun with her newly single life. Not with him, surprisingly, but with other men, to start dating and having fun sleeping around. The next Christmas, she ends up running into JB, and it's like the stars align, and it's the perfect time for them to get together. She tells him about the steamy fun that she had in the years since they first met, and they finally end up together like they always wanted from the beginning. This was really steamy. I didn't really expect a hero who wanted to hear about the heroine being with other men. I like the concept. I really like these two characters and their chemistry. So this one, it worked really well for me. And then I started reading some full-length books, some full-length winter Christmas romances. The first one is A Warm Heart in Winter by J.R. Ward. This one is book 18 18.5 in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. It is a follow-up to Blay and Quinn from Lover at Last, book 11. Last year we also did get another winter romance from J.R. Ward, so I'm guessing this is gonna be like an annual tradition. And even though I haven't been loving these books, I'm still happy that J.R. Ward is writing these winter romances. I gave A Warm Heart in Winter 3 stars. I still liked it. I did love being back in the Black Dagger Brotherhood world with Blay and Quinn. I love these two. I loved Lover at Last, but it ended up being pretty depressing, which was not really what I wanted to read or feel in a winter romance. So in this book, Blay and Quinn are living their happy lives. They are loving and happy parents to 2 children, co-parenting with Layla and X-Core. But one thing that is missing is the fact that they never really went through the mating ritual. We've actually seen this mating ritual in some earlier books. It's this formal mating marriage ceremony for the vampires in this world, but surprisingly, Blay and Quinn just never got around to doing that. But unfortunately, before these two can start planning for this mating ritual, Quinn's brother Lucas ends up dying, and that's what the majority of this book is about. Quinn is dealing with grief and loss and depression. Blay is trying to navigate how to help Quinn through this. A lot of heartbreak and grief from Quinn's past is also brought up because of this, and surprisingly, the one brother who connects most with Quinn is Zadist. I loved seeing Z again. We get to see him so much more, and how even though he's already overcome so much, there are always things that need to be dealt with, which is why he's still in therapy. I did enjoy this one, but the whole plot surrounding Quinn and his past, his family, I just got a little bit bored with because it's so dragged out. If it was shorter, I probably could have enjoyed it more because I still love Blay and Quinn so much, and bonus, we get more of Z, plus we get to see Lassiter, who is always entertaining. The story doesn't really add much to the whole grand scheme of the series, but it is a good treat for the series. Lots of winter vibes with the whole brotherhood, their families being stuck at their mansion because of a snowstorm. If you're missing the BDB world, this one is a great one to read. It's not mind-blowing or anything, but like I said, it's a great treat for fans of the series. And then the final book that I read for my holiday Christmas TBR is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This was actually our Ravished by Romance book club read for December. Our live show is happening on the last Saturday of December, so join us if you can. This one I honestly didn't really have that many expectations going into it because I was slightly disappointed with a few of Christina Lauren's newer releases. They were veering more towards the women's fiction side of romance, which is not what I read, so I just haven't been loving their newer stuff. I much prefer their older series like Beautiful Bastard and the Wild Season series, but this one I surprisingly really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's a really quick read, only about 300 pages, but it is like the Christmas version of Groundhog Day, where the heroine is reliving the same day over and over, reliving Christmas over and over. I think an old blurb kind of hinted more towards a love triangle, and that's what I thought there was going to be when I went into this one. And the blurb also does mention these 2 brothers who are family friends, but I would not call this one a love triangle or anything. There's very firmly that one older brother that May has always been into. But in this story, every year May, her family, and their family friends gather. They meet up at their snowy Utah cabin and just have a good, fun family time. But this year, May accidentally ends up making out with the wrong brother, and during the drive home, they get in an accident, but May wakes up, and it's like the week at the cabin never happened. She's back at the beginning of their winter break, their winter vacation, and is so confused about what's going on, but she does take this chance to change things up, to take that chance to be with the right brother that she's always wanted all along. I didn't have much hopes for the romance, but I actually really enjoyed May and Andrew. It's a really great friends to lovers romance. They are so cute and sweet together. I like the dynamics between all 3 of these families, these family friends, but I do wish we had gotten to know some of them a bit better. It did have all the perfect Christmas winter vibes, which I really enjoyed. It's cozy and sweet. It makes you want to rent out a cabin in Utah and just cozy up there for Christmas. I'm just really surprised by how much I enjoyed this one. I'm so glad it didn't let me down like some of their recent releases have. And of all the holiday romances that I read, this one definitely was the most Christmassy. So those were all the Christmas, holiday, winter romances that I read for the 2020 holiday season. There were some really good reads. I kind of wanted to read more, but I just didn't have the time. But those were the 8 that I read. If you read any of them, let me know what you think of them. If you read some other holiday romances, let me know. I'll probably end up reading them next year. Links for all the books will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!